Pharmacists say shortages of certain medicines are putting patient safety at risk and warn the situation is the worst they've ever seen, despite the government telling us last November that all issues would be resolved by the end of 2023.
Yes, new data obtained by this programme from ADHD UK shows that as of January 2024, the issue is far from resolved, and in some areas it's getting worse. 25-year-old Molly Brooks-Dridge was forced to embark on a 4-hour round trip to get her ADHD medication. She says her life is seriously being impacted and is now rationing her doses. She is not alone. So let's have a look at this survey. So in December, 20% said they received their prescription in full. This month, just 11% of those surveyed expect to get the correct dosage.
When it comes to rationing medication, 7% said they were forced to do so last month, but a massive 31% said they'll have to spread their medication by taking partial doses throughout January. And Molly joins us now, along with Dr. Hilary. Molly, good to have you here. I mean, as we just said, you've been having to ration, to reduce, maybe even to miss a dose. Just explain to us, for you, what is the difference in your life day to day between those days when you can take the full dose and those days when you have to take less or even none? How does it change
So my
things?
productivity levels are literally totally different. Like, I could be able to do a YouTube video, create content for my Instagram, reply to loads of emails on the days I take it. My moods are really great. But then on the days I can't take it, I'm really flat. Like, I feel burnt out, like paralysed by all the stuff I need to do. But my brain just won't allow me to prioritise and organise and do what I need to do. So, like, the productivity levels and the moods are insanely different.
Also, it has a sort of perverse effect, doesn't it, in the sense that there are moments when you feel like you can't do anything.
Yeah.
And there are moments when actually you do too much.
Yeah, like hyper-focus on it. Like, I hyper-focus. And it's not always... People say it's a superpower, this hyper-focus, but you can hyper-focus on the wrong things. And I have done, like, I can hyper-focus on the hypercritical stuff about, like, self-image and the things that I really want to be doing. So I'll write a whole plan. I could literally write you a plan on everything within a second, and then I can't then do what I want to do. It's just, like, stuck.
It gives you bad anxiety if you don't take the medication. And ironically, then you have to go on to other medication, don't you? Antidepressants.
Yeah. That's it. I'm on sertraline as well, which with ADHD medication and the sertraline, it seemed to really, like, balance out, and I was able to do basically be the best version of me. I was able to do that, but without the ADHD medication, the antidepressants, they don't touch really. It doesn't help.
And it can be dangerous. I mean, you have ADHD-induced impulsive compulsions.
Yeah.
That's led you to speeding when you're driving?
I got in a lot of trouble with, like, reckless driving and impulsiveness. Like, I was gonna, like, get so many loans out. I got myself in money trouble, like debt, because I'm so impulsive. I don't think about the consequences of doing stuff. So I had to sell my car out of pure... because I was worried I was going to get myself killed and somebody else hurt.
Oh, my goodness. So this is life and death for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
You need to be on this medication. We were told by the government back in November that the shortages would be sorted out by the end of December.
Yeah.
So tell us what you're experiencing. You get your prescription.
Yeah, and they just tell me, you know, it's a manufacturing problem. We can't get it in. And then they're saying, we'll see if we can find any other local pharmacies. And it's just the same everywhere. They are prioritising it for younger children, which I think is great. As on my blog, I'm told a lot that kids are being told not to go to school. They're being turned away at the door because their behaviour is too disruptive or too challenging. So in my opinion, like, you know, prioritising it for the younger kids, great. But we shouldn't have to ration and pick and choose who gets it.
But you've had to pick and choose what days you take it.
Yeah.
So in a month, how many days medication might you get?
So I get 28 pills, so that should be a month. And I take it every single day, I should be. But now I've literally, the one I got from October, that was the last time I was able to get a filled prescription. It's lasted me now, and I'm on my last medication now, like the last capsule.
So you got 28 in October. That's had to last you October, November, December,
to now.
January.
I had to ration it.
And the days you chose included Christmas Day
and Boxing Day, because I wanted to be able to, like, really enjoy it and not ruin it for my family, because, like, my moods are so unpredictable, and, like, I didn't want to ruin that and give anyone else a bad time at Christmas. So I wanted to be present and be able to enjoy it. So I had to choose to take 2 out of that 28.
There's been a huge rise in the number of people getting a prescription. It's actually doubled from 103,000 4 years ago to over 200,000 now, according to the NHS. But for you, this has been many years you've been diagnosed and taking the drugs? Yeah,
so I was diagnosed when I was 21. I had to pay private. I had to end up being paid privately because
that was in 2019.
Yeah. Because all throughout school, you know, my behaviour was really bad and I was excluded, put in a pupil referral unit, but I was never given any intervention or any help. And then I went on to college. I was studying to be a police dog handler. That was my dream. And then I was kicked out of college at 18 because I couldn't follow the military standard rules in the college. So then I was just, you know, I went home and just said, Mum, there's something wrong with me. I can't act like the younger kids in my class. I'm acting like more even immature than them. So I went to the doctor and she was like, yeah, that sounds like ADHD, because it's been there forever. It didn't just come overnight.
If you'd been diagnosed when you were 13 or even younger, that would have been better for your life?
Yeah, I think so. And I think I would have been able to fulfill my dream of becoming a policewoman. But it's just, yeah, I honestly, it would have changed my life.
So that rise in prescriptions, that doubling in the last 3 or 4 years, is actually lots of people getting help that they probably needed earlier in their lives, like you.
Yeah, I think as well, I think it's to do with social media and the way that everybody is now talking about it, and there's not so much of a stigma. And I think it's allowing people to realise that actually that's me and they can identify with the symptoms and the traits.
Dr. Hillary, the company responsible... actually, this sounds like this is the statement from November. Says there's been a significant increase in demand for ADHD medications over the past 2 years, which has led to an ongoing impact on supply. I mean, cases of diagnosis have increased massively over the past couple of years. Sounds like...
Well, doubled in the last couple of years, but that was a predictable increase. No, demand has increased, just as it has for HRT. These are predictable increases in demand. And the reason for the shortages is far greater than just increase in demand. I mean, there are global supply issues across the world. Obviously, there's ingredient shortages. There are supply route problems, Red Sea violence right now affecting shipping, war in Ukraine. There's also problems with price cap that the NHS impose on certain branded medicines, which makes it less incentivising for pharmaceutical firms to invest in the UK. So also after Brexit, the value of the pound dropped, so it was more difficult for NHS to purchase medicines. So all of these things impact on the supply. Pharmacists are pulling their hair out trying to help patients like Molly, who's explained very eloquently what it's like to live with ADHD and what the shortages mean. But we're not just talking about ADHD either. We're talking about drugs for cancer, drugs for epilepsy, drugs for all sorts of things.
HRT drugs?
More than 100 medicines at the moment. HRT we've heard about for a while. But things like cancer, I mean, if you talk to breast cancer now, they'll be saying that there are people who are on anastrozole, letrozole, tamoxifen for breast cancer, and they can't get hold of these medicines without shopping around for hours with different pharmacies trying to get hold of supply.
Well, we mentioned it earlier. I mean, at one point there was a worry, could Brexit lead to a problem? And there was a stockpile. We've had a pandemic and supply issues in the aftermath of that. But why now, at the end of 2023, beginning of 2024, do we still have these big drug shortages which go wider than the ADHD drugs? Is it just about the global system, or is there something going wrong in the way in which we are planning and stockpiling vital medicines?
Well, the EU has now decided to stockpile key medicines and to produce those medicines domestically. But, of course, we're not part of the EU anymore, so
we've always done that, haven't we?
Well, we have to some extent, but why that isn't happening right now... Obviously, a lot of our medicines come from abroad. The majority of our medicines are imported. So if you've got problems with shipping lanes, if you've got problem with ports and borders, you're going to produce more problems.
I'm so sorry,
than you
Molly,
had before.
that we haven't got a full explanation from the pharmaceutical company involved, Takeda, because it feels like, you know, when they gave us a statement in November, we really should know. It doesn't help, does it? The explanation in November, right now into the third week in January.
No,
We'll drill down and try and find out what the current explanation is. I know that the government has said the supply of ADHD medications has improved, but we know some challenges remain, and understand this is distressing to patients and families. But it hasn't even improved for you, has it?
No, I don't think it has for anyone, to be honest. I think everyone's now finding out that it's, like, worldwide, global. And, I mean, there are some really kind people online. Oh, I'll send you some. And, I mean, great, but it's not safe. And I know that people are resorting to you know, using other people from, like, America and stuff to send them over. But, you know, I don't condone that. And I always tell people, you know, it's not safe to be doing that. But that's how desperate people are. You know, they're going against their own morals to do it because they're so...
It's not as if you can hoard medicines either, because they have an expiry date. They're like food. They will go off. They'll deteriorate. So you can't hoard them. You know, you're dependent on an immediate supply all the time, and it simply isn't there at the moment across the board for over 100 important medicines.
When the government says there are challenges, truth is, Molly, you are living with those in your life, real challenges every day.
And I think because people don't see it, they kind of, like, brush it aside. And I think it's just really vulnerable people just left with uncertainty, and it's, you know, it's not fair, really.
Yeah. OK, thank you for joining us. And you're very understanding, because I can imagine there are lots of parents who are dealing with very challenged behaviour in their children as a result of this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to, you know, keep it TV friendly, but it's not OK. It's really bad.
Yeah.
Can I just add one thing on behalf of pharmacists? They're under the cosh at the moment. They are meeting quite a lot of aggression from people who don't understand it's not the pharmacist's fault.
Yes.
They are doing their utmost to try and get patients supplied with the medicines, and spending hours at work every week trying to do this. So it's not their fault.
Here. Nick Kay, chairman of the National Pharmacy Association, says we're under pressure. People are getting quite grumpy, quite rightly. They don't understand the increased pressure and why things take so long. At the end of the day, there's a person involved. The pharmacy team are trying to sort that out. It's hard. As a pharmacist, you have no reception team. You are the one stood in front of the person.
Yeah.
You're right.
Well said. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
We'll try and get you a better explanation.
Thank you.
And let's hope we can sort that medication supply out.
Definitely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for doing that.
Thank you.